Hi everybody, and welcome to the Citizen Sleeper 2 Hexport demo. I'm really excited to check this out. I'm very excited to see this early. Citizen Sleeper was an incredible game that I absolutely adored the time that I spent with, and getting to check this out early, I'm kind of using this as the sort of start of what I'm calling season 2 of Matt Checks Out. Matt Checks Out is what I call my sort of demo series, where I check out demos of indie games, any sort of video game, really. But I'm going to be moving that to pre-recorded stuff that I'm going to do away from stream. And that's mainly due to there just being so many demos and so many games to check out, that if I do that away from stream, if I do that on my own time, then that gives me more time to do other things on stream, new games, old stuff, community choice stuff. So yeah, that's that's what's happening here. Welcome to a new season. I'm really excited to check this out. By the time you see this, the demo for this will be available. I believe it's going to go up as part of Steam Next Fest. So there will be a link in the description. If you want to go to the Steam page, make sure you wishlist it after checking out the demo. I've been hyped for Citizen Sleeper 2 since the moment they announced it, and I'm really I'm not talking anymore. Let's get into it. New game. So we got some difficulty settings. For those who focus on the story, broken dice are worth 1. Higher stress tolerance, death is disabled. I don't hate that. Default difficulty, for those happy to be challenged, broken dice cannot be used. Standard stress tolerance, death incurs a significant permanent penalty. It usually does. It's death. For those who want a tough challenge with no second chances, dice repairs require more components. Okay, so something happens with our dice. What I'm learning here is our dice can break, and we'll have to repair them. And on the higher difficulty, it costs more components. Very low stress tolerance, double energy depletion, death is permanent. I appreciate having difficulty settings. I always do. I also really would prefer or enjoy. I would also really enjoy a setting here at the at the end that allows you to customize your difficulty. Now, this is a demo, so obvious asterisk. Could it be in the full game? Maybe. Is it not in this demo because it's just a demo? Maybe. But I think anything like this where maybe I want to tweak things where I'm like, I don't mind the low stress tolerance because I want to push myself, and I don't want to use broken dice, but maybe I don't want to deal with death, whatever that looks like in this game. But you can change difficulty at any time. That's me. I just always like the ability to tweak them where I can. Here we go. Okay. So we have our classes. Here. All right, let's go through these. We got the operator, obviously each their own beautiful piece of art. We have the extractor. That looks great with this big heavy suit. I love that it zips on the side. And we have the machinist. Oh yeah, look at I love the different looks. Each of these has their own tree that's sort of blanked out, right? So the machinist can't engage. The operator can't endure. and the extractor can't intuit. That's interesting. It's a very interesting idea. So the machinist, you accrue stress to focus an action die. When you focus, +1 stress, +2, and focus your lowest die. -1 stress on focus die, positive outcome. Okay, we'll have to see how this fits together. Machinist sleepers are built to repair and modify automated systems used to incorporate resource extraction. Machinists are very skilled engineers, but their isolated work means they often struggle with tasks requiring a direct approach or social engagement, which is why they don't have the engage tree. Their focus skill allows them to focus on a single task and boost their dice to excel in it. Sleepers assigned to machinist work are usually diligent, careful, and structured people. Now, if we click... Okay, no, it doesn't look like we gain the ability to... Oh, that takes us back. Oh, okay. That was a little visual bug. That was funny. Operators, reboot. You can accrue stress to re-roll your lowest action die for 1 stress. Operator sleepers are built to work with drones and remote machines over local networks to perform corporate resource extraction from a distance. Operators have expertise in working with interfaces and computer systems, but are more physical fragile than other sleepers, which is why they can't endure. The reboot skill allows them to hack their own systems to reroll dice, a risky but potentially powerful move. Sleepers assigned to operator work are usually cerebral and precise people, so high interface, little intuit, a little engaged. I want to see the art. Yeah, so the art does have some different physical differences, and I love this. The extractor. Extractor sleepers are built to work at the coal face of corporate resource extraction, often in hard vacuum environments. Extractors have a high level of physical endurance, but their confidence means they struggle with tasks requiring intuition. Their rally skill allows them to motivate those in their team, boosting their crew dice. So +1 stress to +2 to your lowest crew dice. That seems pretty strong. Sleepers assigned to extractor work are often confident, self-sufficient, and have a high level of endurance. That makes sense. So you're really enduring. You have social and engineer. I really like the operator. I like the sound of it. So this is a demo. We're gonna go with this. Wow, this interface is just so immediately familiar. In the moment before waking, the dark space before conscious thought, you struggle to find the pieces of yourself. Usually those pieces come with a particular cadence, each appearing sequentially like the boot process of an old terminal. First, your body, artificial, compromised, but relaying sense data all the same. Then it's context, the breeze of air filtration, the soft contact of your birth in 0G. Then emotion, coming into focus, coming into your body, bringing with it that first instinct, the one that has framed your past 100 cycles. Fear. But that familiar sequence does not arrive. Instead, you are unmoored in space, your body distant, your context silent, even your emotions somehow obscured and scattered. Among all that disarray, only one familiar thing arrives. Fear. It's a scrambled, panicked fear. The drowning fear, the falling fear, the fear that makes you reach desperately for any stable point. It is fear that tells you something is wrong. Something is very wrong with you. Wake up, sleeper. The voice is whispered in your ear, an act that makes you so suddenly aware of your head, pulsing in pain, your body rigid with tension. Sleeper. A familiar name. A mind copied, emulated. A body built, implanted. One person sleeping until their dead is worked away, their double being made to work, to be consumed, and eventually to be destroyed. A proxy, an emulation, a sleeper. That is what you are. But you escaped. You remember that now. Broke free of your corporate creators, S and ARP, in search of a future. You cannot remember the details of your escape, but you know the fear has been with you ever since you did. You want to know the details of breaking free of S and ARP? Again, I highly recommend checking out Citizen Sleeper 1 for yourself. It is an amazing, amazing time. Or you can click through to the Citizen Sleeper playlist, and you can watch me have a good time with it. I do the entire base game and all the DLC, and I think I get all of the endings as well, so you can really see everything that game has to offer. All of a sudden, you remember you have eyes, and your eyes flicker open. Pale eyes in a pale face. Lane. The name comes with its own specific sensation of fear, when you recoil from instinctively. Sorry to interrupt. A sharp smirk. But this ends here. You search your mind for more than a name. Is this how you reward me for my generosity? Lane is leaning over your horizontal floating body, looking down into your eyes. I took you in, protected you, gave you a purpose. You try to look away to the corners of your vision to find something you understand. Your body does not respond. But I suppose that wasn't enough? He reaches into the pocket of his jacket and retrieves a small vial. This wasn't enough? The vial glitters. The object you know and have known for a long time. Stabilizer, the drug that keeps your artificial body, your emulated mind, from inevitable decay. The only balm for your planned obsolescence. The liquid roiling in the vial fills you with disgust. Lane pockets the vial, but it would be wasted on you now, after what you've done to this body of yours. He looks at you with palpable disgust. Lane's eyes scan your body, and as they do, you become aware of the wires and tubes attached to you. Those that were meant to free you from your dependence, from the stabilizer, and the control it grants Lane. They are free, you piece of shit. They don't need you anymore. The voice comes from somewhere behind Lane's head. It's a voice you know, but when you search your mind to try to understand why, you find only dizzying darkness. Shut him up. Lane barks the command, and you hear the sounds of impact, of pain from elsewhere in the room. You try to move your limbs again, and this time you feel a flicker, the twitch of a finger. You feel the extension and compression of synthetic muscle. I had such big plans for you, Sleeper. I rescued you. I invested in you. Lane grips your arm hard and you feel a jolt of reaction. You will the arm to move. But you've ruined all that. Lane speaks louder over the sound of the struggle behind him. I will try to preserve your body, of course. I have my own uses for it. But your emulation? You feel one of his hands searching behind your head. He finds and grips the thick cable running into the port at the base of your skull. I will burn that out. Lane jerks forward, slamming against your body, then spinning away out of sight. You feel yourself rolling, the cables plugged into you, looping and wrapping around your limbs. Then you feel hands steadying you, pulling cables. You glance around wildly and see someone diligently unplugging you. You meet his eyes. Hey! He waves a hand in your dazed face. We need to move. Lane won't be out long. He unloops a cable from around your wrist. Sleeper, help me get out of here. You blink slowly. Do you know this person? He leans over you and you feel his hands on the connector, flicking switches, releasing locks. Come on, come on, come on. He tugs the connector clear and pulls you up. You see the room you're in for the first time, filled with tech and terminals, wires waving everywhere, all lit by big windows looking out on an impossibly bright, screen-filled street beyond. In the corner, you see the dark shape of a floating body, surrounded by a glittering constellation of crimson baubles. Is that blood? Move! You're wrestled and shoved towards the door, which slides open in front of you, and then you're out in all that brightness, all that movement, gliding hard towards some unknown destination. You come to a stop in a dark alley, the one who guided you here pausing to catch his breath. He doubles over beside a massive life support unit that sends a lukewarm breeze across your skin. You stare at him, trying to recall anything about him. You notice his tattered jacket, his lightweight clothes. You remember this station runs hot. Something about the power that flows through the place. He looks up and meets your eye. What's going on, Sleeper? He wipes sweat from his forehead and it floats away in a swarm of spheres. Talk to me. Who are you? You see a concerned frown cross his face. Don't mess with me, Sleeper. That's not funny. He comes closer, eyeing you carefully. What station are we on? He narrows his eyes, waits for the answer. You close your eyes, trying to recall. You force your way through the dark to the image of a station. No, a city, growing on the back of a vast set of hexagonal solar cells, shadowed by them. You open your eyes. Dark side. The word... Oh, I just realized if I move my mouse, the city moves ever so gently. That's fun. Dark side. The word leaves your mouth like an exhale, an instinct. Before you heard yourself sound it out, you didn't know it was there. He sighs. And me? Who am I? You see something like fear in his eyes. Panic, perhaps. You stare hard at his face, the slight upturn of his mouth, the intensity of his stare. Nothing comes. He closes his eyes and drops his head, putting a hand to his temple. The reboot. He's speaking quietly to himself. Lane interrupted the process and he lifts his head and stares at you. We need to keep going. We need to leave. He turns and kicks off down the alley. Come on, the rig can't be far. As you're led through the passages and serviceways of the station, you try to recall your life here. The texture, the temperature of Darkside feels familiar, but you struggle to pin specific memories to it. Focusing hard, you recall waking up in these passages, cycle after cycle, the rhythms of the station flowing over you along with the crowds. You recall desperation and the slow decay of your body that caused it. Then Lane, those pale eyes, offering you a glittering vial, stabilizer. A promise of supplying more for your work, a deal he locked you into like a cage. There, your memory fails you, but in the dark beyond that moment, the residue of panic, of fear, remains. You were Lane's prisoner, Lane's plaything. You shudder in the cold passage. Hold. Your guide holds up a hand and you stop your glide at using the wall. Ahead, you see the tunnel opens up into a wide open bay with a few doors leading to cylindrical tunnels. The docks. They're watching the rig. He nods towards the docks and you see one of the doors has a couple figures flanking it, one covered in ornate tattoos, the other with bright silver implants along their cheekbones. Usubo, Lane's guys. He looks at you and shakes his head in frustration. All this, it's not coming back to you, is it? He places a hand on his chest. I'm Seraphin, all right? He looks pained when he speaks. Lane, he was our captor. Both of us. We did this so we could escape. We needed to reboot you, to break your dependence on stabilizer. He pauses. You know what that is, right? You nod meekly. But Lane interrupted me back there. The reboot didn't complete, and he sighs and shakes his head. We can still make this work. He looks back at the docks. I'll lead them away. You get the docking bridge open. If we can make it to the rig, I know how to get us in. Got that? He searches your face for a sign of recognition. What's the rig? Seraphin looks annoyed. A ship. Our ship. Or at least it soon will be. Lane assigned it to us when we were on jobs with him. Get that door open. He pats you on the shoulder. I know you can do this. Seraphin kicks off hard and glides into the docks. Over here, shitheads! He bellows to the guards as he barrels through. They immediately push off from the wall, giving chase. You wait a breath, then glide across the door they were guarding. You look, already panicked at the tightly sealed door, its control panel locked out. You hear a shout from somewhere nearby. You need to get it open. So, tutorial. During scenes, you may encounter skill checks, where you perform certain actions using your skills. Like the dice actions you'll encounter later, skill checks can have a positive, neutral, or negative outcome. The better the rating of your skill, the more likely you'll succeed on a check. The odds of success are displayed when you select the check. You can get more info in the guide section of the pause menu. So we can interface 50% positive, 50% neutral, or we can engineer, which I'm guessing we're not good at. Is there a way to see my... No. I do appreciate I can change the text size. Wait. No. No. Okay, so there's no way here to see my skills. So, I mean, we're going to try to hack the door. 50% positive, 50% neutral. It's better than neutral or negative. So. Boom. Positive outcome, and we lose a little stress. You shift to the control panel, your fingers dancing across the keys. Without thinking, you access the maintenance layer and trigger a fire safety venting protocol. The panel drones out a klaxon, and the door pops open with a hiss. Go, go! Seraphin flies past you through the doorway into the docking tunnel. You turn to see the two guards approaching fast across the docks and quickly glide after Seraphin. Seraphin is already at the rig's door, importing an entry code. The rig's doors scissor open, and you both rush inside. Quickly! Seraphin grabs you by the arm and drags you up to the cockpit, the ship's layout hazy in your mind. He dumps you into a flight seat and straps himself into his own. You see him tap a series of buttons as he does, talking to himself. Come on. The rig's drive rumbles to life, and Seraphin slams a button on the console. You feel the force of the ship's acceleration as it pulls away. Oh, there we go. As the ship glides into place on the connecting bridge, its automatic systems nudge there by the port's docking protocols. You feel a sense of relief. Seraphim burned hard out of dark side, and you dropped in and out of consciousness in your seat as the rig made its way across the belt. But now, with open space between you and Lane, you feel fresher, more awake. Seraphim breaks the silence. We're good, Sleeper. Your eyes don't leave the monitor, and you realize this part of your escape is routine for him. You and he must have docked this ship countless times in your work for Lane. The problem is, you don't remember any of them. We made it, he whispers, closing his eyes and letting out a sigh. We certainly did. He turns, you see a pained look on his face, as if remembering something difficult. Had you said this exact thing to him before, in the same situation? Are you okay? He looks at you, chewing one side of his lip, searching your face. Not really, he puffs. Seraphim reaches up, flicking through a set of switches in a practiced fashion, completing the shutdown. You watch, a little frustrated at your own uselessness. Running the rig, you realize, is just another thing you've forgotten. A clunk that runs through the walls of the ship is followed by a short percussive alarm tone from the pilot's console. Docking complete. Seraphim kicks off from his seat, twisting as he glides past you towards the back of the cockpit. His hands find the rails on either side of the door and he pauses, facing into the corridor beyond. He turns back to you, backlit in cold cyan. We need a plan. He glances around. Lane's not going to let us slip away quietly. He sighs. We keep running. Seraphim nods. That's what it feels right. That's what it feels like, right? That you never get far enough away from that shithead. You see a shiver run through him. You know that he suffered as much as you did under Lane. We've bought ourselves some time. He glances through the cockpit window at the blinking lights of the station. You may not remember Hexport, but I do, and there's plenty of opportunities here for us. If we can keep our heads down. He turns back to the corridor. That's what we'll do. He pushes off and glides towards the main lock, and you follow, pulling yourself along, hand over hand in 0G. We already emptied the tank on this thing. He slaps a hand against the ship's inside. So we need to refuel, and that won't be cheap. But if you and I know one thing, Sleeper, it's how to work. I'm gonna get myself reacquainted, see if I can turn up any old connections. People that might throw us an easy contract. You? He glances over his shoulder. You should keep out of trouble. Low profile, got it. Seraphim stops at the airlock. Stopping the reboot halfway through, pulls a worn crew jacket from a locker and starts pulling it on. We don't know what that did to you. He jams an arm into his sleeve. I don't want you passing out in... He stops. It'll take both of us. Seraphim sighs. I hate it when you're right. Grabs under the crew jacket and thrusts it at you. Just keep the damn hood up, will ya? Take it and slip it on. Seraphim stabs at the button to open the lock. The inner door hisses open and Seraphim glides through. Wait for a little bit, then leave. Anyone looking for us will be looking for two people traveling together. He looks at you in your worn crew jacket, a limited disguise for what is clearly a sleeper. We'll be back here later. Any trouble? Same thing. Meet here. He takes another look at your disguise and shakes his head. This is a shitty idea. He gives you one last look. Maybe find yourself something to eat. Suddenly you recognize Seraphim's instinct to look after you. A flash of a relationship now lost to the reboot. Catch! Seraphim throws a handful of something towards you. You manage to grab the projectiles, and when you open your hand, you see a stack of cryochits. Those should get you some food. We'll need some more for fuel and supplies. He grimaces. That means odd jobs on the station. For both of us. Seraphim kicks off and glides down the docking bridge. Don't go too far, alright? He shouts as he leaves. Take it slow. With that, he's gone, leaving the connecting bridge and heading into the docking concourse of Hexport. You wait for a moment in silence. Let's make a plan. Try to think ahead to what might be coming. You'll need work, that's the first step. But what then? Lane will be coming eventually, so the sooner you can put some distance between you and Hexport, the better. So, that's the plan. Rest, resupply, and run. You shake the thoughts from your head and pull the jacket tight. Let's see what Hexport has to offer. You kick off and glide into port. All right. Welcome to Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. The game runs in cycles, during which you can perform actions with your dice, use cryo to buy food, fuel, supplies, and items, progress clocks towards new scenes and events. You can review tutorials at any time in the guide section. Oh, yeah, this is very similar to what the original game felt like. Welcome to the character screen, where you can upgrade and configure your sleeper. On the left, you can upgrade your skills to improve the skill modifier applied to your dice when you undertake an action. To the right, you can upgrade your push, the unique ability of your class. When upgrading your push, only one upgrade at each level can be active at once. You can configure which upgrade is active only while in the hub. Okay, so I don't have any points. Okay, I'm just, I was trying to see, I guess it's just like 0, 1, 2. It's just very basic, very straightforward. So anything we do in the game requires an action. Those actions are determined by our dice up here at the top. We don't have a lot of great dice, but there could be some things that don't require dice. So let's see what we got here. The rig is your ship and home in the Starward Belt. While the rig is docked at a hub, there are multiple areas you can visit. Bunks. Use dice to reduce stress. Galley. Use supplies to regain energy. Other locations will unlock as you play. While the rig is in the dock at a hub, your crew will also help gather resources to contribute to the upkeep of the ship. You can choose which resources they should focus on in the crew action menu on the left. Neat. They have a random chance of acquiring it at the beginning of the following cycle. So we can have, oh, this clock is a cycle clock. It'll progress towards an event each cycle. Pay attention to these clocks. They can have significant effects. And then that just automatically disappears. Okay, I don't like that. So this is a forced progress clock. On the run, you've put some distance between you and Lane, but you're sure he'll close the gap as soon as he's able. So this clock represents what Lane is doing. And you can see the end cycle logo. That'll progress when we finish the cycle. Seraphin could do odd jobs for money, scavenge fuel for fuel, or source supplies for supplies. We're gonna have him focus on money. And then, yeah, we can use materials here if we want to recover stress, which is this little bar here, I believe. So we could spend dice on that. That's a nice, easy thing. In Citizen Sleeper 2, you perform actions by assigning action dice. The higher dice you assign, the more likely you will succeed in an action. But your dice will be modified by your skill. Your skill modifier for the action is displayed on the right, and that will reduce or increase the value of the die depending on the action. Like skill checks, dice actions have 3 outcomes: positive, negative, and neutral. Each action is also rated safe, risky, or dangerous based on the outcome it has. The more dangerous an action is, the more significant both its rewards and consequences will be. So this is a shared clock. There are a bunch of these in the first game. Basically, doing either of these actions will progress this clock, in which we'll make connections here at Hexport. The Hexport dock's thrummed with life. There are contacts to be made here, you're sure of it. So I have a risky, let's see how this 2 looks. Okay, the 2 is not good. The 5 is probably, yeah, the 5 is probably pretty good. I don't know what my engage is off the top of my head. It is a 0. It is a 0, but it's not nothing. So there's that. Hexport exchange. Rules of the exchange. The conversation buzzes with the conversation of commerce. This is the place where contracts are found. You just need to look. We could trade scrap, which bad. We don't want to do that. Or interface. We do have interface plus interface skill proficient. So we do have that does turn into a 3 for us, but that's still really not that great. So we're gonna have to figure this out. Yeah, I kind of want to do this risky interface. I'm not the most excited about it overall, but I'm curious to see what our outcomes are. Ooh, positive. I think we got yeah, we got a full positive outcome. we've progressed a clock. Clocks track our progress towards positive and negative events, and I don't like that those disappear automatically. If I'm honest, is that a thing in the settings? No. Yeah, I don't like that. I really don't like it when games do that. But that says new location discovered, export trade hall. So now, I see. So now we've basically unlocked access to the market. So if we want to buy supplies, buy fuel, that's good. That's good. That's almost certainly very useful. I really want to save that 5 if we can. Okay, negative outcome. We lost a little energy, but we did make progress. So, okay, positive outcome, rules of the exchange, boom, boom. We can't go to that location anymore because it's been complete, so now we can go to the Hexport Canteen. You can eat in exchange for cryo. Eating gives you energy and stops you starving. Different food gives you different amounts of energy. Nice, so now we can get some food. Fill up our energy. Beautiful, 4 energy. Good to know that gives us 4 energy, 4 out of our 5 energy. Oh boy. Let's use this 5 for the danger to try to get the high level positive outcome on this. All right, 3 Hexport Expert with a new location. The Benz Chaotic Dockside Bar. We can play Star and Stoker, a space gambling game played with custom magnetic dice. Chits are stashed in symbol-marked cans, and winning is ruthlessly luck-based. Or we can buy a Ben's Fry, a plastic bag of flash-fried, salt-speckled tubers. The Ben's Fry brings spacers back to the scatter tables of the bar cycle after cycle. So that's 7 cryo. That's probably a smaller amount of energy overall, but the sort of the at least I found resource management in the last game to be very important. And sometimes if you can spend a little less money to get that little bit of energy you need, that's what's gonna make it for you. Boy, I only have 1 die. I don't feel great about doing it, so we're gonna end the cycle. There's nothing that I feel really excited about throwing dice at. Okay, yeah, these dice are looking a little better. We're in trouble, sleeper. Seraphim leads into the berths as you're getting out of your bunk. Without further explanation, he disappears down the corridor towards the rear of the ship. You drift out in the passage, pulling on your clothes and glide down the length of the ship, the cool air making you shiver. Seraphim is a silhouette, silently leading the way. He stops at the far end, diverting through a side door, shooting you a glance as he does. You find Seraphim inside, holding one of the tangle of arm-thick tubes that are waving in the zero-G engine room. You know what these are? Fuel pipes? Seraphim shrugs. Close enough. These are the engine's feed lines. He waves one in the air. And before you ask, no, they aren't supposed to be waggling loose. What happened? These must have broken loose when we pulled the ship hard out on our way out of Darkside. He looks at the mess. We're lucky the reserve tank is empty, otherwise... Shakes his head. It would have been bad. But... Pushes the pipe to the side. No feed from the reserve means that the rig's range is limited to the local region only. He thumps the large lumpen housing of the engine. This thing can't take us anywhere far. So we fix it. Seraphim sighs. That's the short of it. Seraphim whacks the engine housing again, harder this time. Just not been our run of luck. He turns and starts gathering the tangled feed lines, his frustration evident in the violence of his movements. We'll need a new set of these, that's for sure. Starts forcing them into a crate. How about you try to track them down? I'll try to look at things here and see if I can figure out another fix for the reserve tank. Glances up from his work. From what I've heard on Hexport, Factory Row is the place to find ship fitters. Maybe you can do some recon while I sort this place out? It's on the end of the station. Alright, I'll take a look. Seraphim keeps working. Wait. Seraphim pauses, seemingly unsure. There's something else. He drops the feed lines and they float, waving in the air like tubular seaweed. I've heard word that Lane's on the hunt, he frowns. A message went out to everywhere in the local radius of Darkside. He's looking for us. Shit. You said it. Seraphim sighs, which is why we need those feed lines. I can try to work something out. Maybe I can improvise a solution? I don't know. He looks down. I'm no ship fitter. But while I do, you go hunting. See what you can turn up, okay? He smiles a weak smile. Now get out of here. You leave the engine room, the clanking sound of Seraphim's cleanup efforts echoing through the ship. Fuel feed lines. That's the next step. You take a deep breath and head out. All right. You've discovered a drive. It's closed. Drives help you track and choose your objectives in Citizen Sleeper 2. Press the arrow button to open the drive menu and choose which one to track. Once a drive is marked as tracked, a yellow mark will be placed above any location that relates to it. Drives come in two types, major and minor. On completion, a major drive awards 2 upgrade points. A minor rewards 1. Keep an eye on the drive menu as progress to see what new opportunities and objectives are available, and track those you want to pursue. So right now we have Escape, Hexport. Major. Lane is hunting you and Hexport isn't far from Darkside. Refuel, repair, find what you need, and leave. So right now our current task is find a ship fitter, which we can go to Factory Row, the new location we've discovered. So we need to make 4 progress for trusted supplier down here. The export facilities are picky about those who they work with. Trust is a key currency here if you want to find a ship fitter. I don't have, I've got double negative endure. I think that's my dead stat. If I put a 3, all right, you know, we'll try. What does a 2 give us? A 2 gives us no positives. So we'll just get it done. We'll just get it done. Okay, well that UI element clips through, so that's a little all right. Factory Row howls as you walk through its cramped passages. Whatever its many bays and rooms once were, they now serve as containers for industry of every kind. Whirling factories precisely engineer components with rapidly shifting arms, while scrappers hammer incessantly at bent ship plates. Everywhere you look, there's energy and activity, and for good reason. Hexport itself is built on the derelict fragments of a solar reflector, and even the small amount of energy generated by its remaining mirrors is enough to power a city of machines. It's familiar to you, of course, in a strange far-off way, because of Darkside. That place and your memories of it are a muddled haze, but it's hard to forget the glint of its hexagonal reflectors, 10 or 20 times more in number than Hexport, and that wild flickering city growing on their back like a tumor. In comparison, Hexport feels provincial, but deep in Factory Row, you could almost be back in Darkside. And then you see them. Tubes just like Seraphim waved in your face. The feed lines. You push over to the display window of the unit, mark Karsten's Supply in block capitals cut from hull plate. They're almost an angle. They're there amongst an angled shelf of oversized ship components. Sit the feed lines, like some large biomechanical tangle of snakes. You slip inside where the sound of Factory Row is a little screened, and spot a large figure working at a bench, hunched over and concentrated. Seems he doesn't notice you enter. You know, you just wait patiently, right? He's working on something. He's working on something. He'll get to us. You let him work, watching as, despite his heavy build, he delicately aligns the components, their layers slotting like puzzle pieces. After a few moments of observing the process, he turns his head a little towards you. Can I help you? His accent is heavy, but unknown to you. Those feed lines, how much? There's a sharp clink as Karsten places his tools and the component against a magnetic plate on the wall. He turns with surprising grace and begins cleaning his hands on a cloth. That makes way more sense. Those sharp eyes scan you, but Karsten's thick-set features do not betray the results of his assessment. Custom built those, for a client that never collected. He looks at his hands while he speaks. I don't know what this accent is, I just decided. Checking for stray oil stains. You have one of the old MEVs then? He sounds out the letters in a way you don't recognize as he speaks. You try to recall anything you know about about your ship, but the memories elude you. Perhaps Seraphin should have come along. I think so. Karsten squints a little. Right. Look. Karsten drifts over to where you're standing, his opposing height evident. For a fellow enthusiast like you, he continues in a distinctive monotone. Let's say a few hundred cryo on clean shits. He shoots a glance at the feed lines. 400, let's say, to be precise. 400. 400. Karsten says back, repeating your question without the emphasis. It's expensive, I know. It's a shame, but it's just what they're worth. He squares his mouth a little into something that might be a smile. However, I'm more of the bartering type myself anyway. And barter sounds good. Karsten nods sagely. There's a little favor I need a crew for, and, well, you look like you might be a good fit. He tucks the cloth away in a pocket and clasps his hands. I know of an old Solheim wreck out there. Real old. Pre-collapse. It's tucked away in a dead zone, so no one's ever really cut it. He shrugs. Not only that, but Solheim derelicts have a habit of triggering nasty security protocols when approached by an unfamiliar ship. So it's been left well alone. But a salvager like you, with an old Solheim rig? I bet it wouldn't even flinch if it saw you coming. I have a special interest, a need for all that old tech. All those Solheim ships had a data core, and while I don't care about the accounting reports or material ledgers or whatever they kept on the damn thing, I do care about the hardware. So if I was to find you back here with that data core in your cargo hold, clean cut and complete, well then I could see my way to doing a straight barter for those feed lines. Karsten pauses, sniffs at the air again. You just need the coordinates. Simple as that? Simple as that, he repeats in his monotone way. So, you interested? He glances back at his workbench. Because I'm a busy man. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's go. All right, then. He hands out a heavy hand for you to shake, and as you automatically reach out, he grabs your forearm instead. Karsten pulls you closer, squeezing your arm. Let's keep this one between us, all right? He half smiles, his face huge and close. It's our deal. Before you can respond, he thumbs a little drive into your palm. Those coordinates. And then he lets go of your arm with what you swear is a wink. You take a moment to gather yourself, and by the time you do, a whirling fills the air, Karsten having returned to his workbench. You turn and glide out of Karsten's supply with a growing mix of anxiety and excitement in the pit of your stomach and the cacophony of Factory Row in your ears. A contract. Seraphin might even be impressed. You look at the drive in your palm and smile. This could be a route out. You think of leaving this place behind, an impression of an improved ship, too. Suddenly a small but firm hand falls on your back, an equally small voice coming with it. Hey, wait up! You turn in the passage to see a young woman, her hair waving from the rapid glide she clearly just came out of to catch you. She centers herself using your shoulder. Sorry. She smiles a quick and flat smile. Wanted to catch you. I'm Junie. Her dark eyes flicker around nervously. You notice the portable terminal she carries, something data scrappers call a deck, and her backpack full of components and trailing wires. Do I know you? She pauses, confused by the question. No. She pauses again. Karsten, she starts, still catching her breath. He sent me to grab you. She smiles that flat smile again. Wants me to come with you on the job. Her eyes shoot down to the drive in the palm of your hand. She smiles again. Why didn't he tell me? She glances back towards Karsten's. I guess he forgot? He does that sometimes. She looks sheepishly at you. He just grabbed me after you two were talking, so... Karsten's always sending me on things like this. I guess he wants me to help you out, keep an eye on things. She pauses. I can be pretty helpful. So, she looks around the passage. Should I meet you at your ship, and you can tell me when you're ready to go? I'm not sure. She looks nervous. Sure. I mean, you aren't sure when you're leaving? I'm not sure you're coming. She pauses, thinking. I mean, Karsten said I need to go. She glances back in the shop's direction. And he does get pretty mad when people don't do what he asks. She shrugs. Let's see. Okay, she glances around. Karsten doesn't like waiting, but it's up to you. Anyway. Junie pushes off and waves. Looking forward to working with you, she calls back as an afterthought. Okay, that's not what I thought Let's See was gonna be, but okay. You watch her disappear down the passage. Things are getting complicated already. but at least you have a contract and a way to get the feed lines. Junie clearly works with data based on the gear she was lugging around, which might make her useful when it comes to pulling out a data core. But the question is, what does she get out of it? And why didn't Karsten mention her sooner? You consider your options as you head back towards the rig. And I don't know about this, Sleeper. Seraphin looks nervously out at the rig's windows as you finish explaining Karsten's deal, as well as Junie's offer of help. If this job was easy, Karsten would have done it himself already. And that means there's a catch. He frowns at the stars. And there's definitely something going on with this Junie girl. He shakes his head. She might be useful, though. No doubt. Seraphin shakes his head. And we desperately need help on a job like this. What if... Seraphin narrows his eyes. We could get the crowd together to buy the feed lines. Is that even possible? I found a contract board in the exchange further in station. He gestures towards Hexport. We could take on a job. That might get us most of the way towards buying those feed lines. I was drifting the voices there for a second. Plus, even if we do want to take Karsten's job, a bit of money will get ourselves prepared. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Fill up on fuels, supplies, be ready for whatever comes. Do we have time? Probably not. But without cryo for fuel and supplies, we aren't going anywhere. Seraphin sighs. Just take a look at the contract board. See what you think. And while you're at it, you might want to see if you can scare up some freelance crew, too. Seraphin shrugs. Many hands make light work and all that. Or we stop messing around. We take Karsten's job right now and get it done before he can think twice. Seraphin yawns. Seems like a whole set of bad options to me. Either way, I've still got work to do on the drive. Typo. Seraphin nods a farewell, heading back to the engine room. Let me know what you decide. For a moment, you pause, letting the haze of plans and ideas settle in your mind. Suddenly, you curl up, pain shooting along your spine. You grit your teeth, your muscles lock tight. Your vision narrows as you squeeze your eyes shut. You feel a shift. As if some connection has broken. It's almost impossible to describe, like you're floating away from your body, dispersing, dissolving. There's nothing familiar in the pain, nothing to hold on to. You grit your teeth. And then another shift comes and you're back in your body, trembling against the metal wall of the passage. The pain slowly fades, becoming a pulsating throb and then a residual flicker. You flex in 0G, stretching out the tension. There's a strange sensation of distance that persists beyond the pain, a disconnection between your body and yourself, flickering numbness that refuses to recede. You wonder if the reboot's done something to your body, or if this is some new sensation you'll have to live with indefinitely. It strikes you that you know so little about the body that houses you. It could be moments away from collapse, or it might preserve for countless cycles like this. You try to shake off the feeling, pushing your hands against each other until they feel like they're yours again. Time is the only thing you need, and right now, it feels like it's running out fast. You head for the airlock. You have work to do. You've unlocked a contract. Open the map screen to take it. Contracts are high-risk, high-reward jobs that you and your crew can take on. Contracts require preparation and care to proceed. You'll need to gather enough fuel to travel to the contract, gather as many supplies as you can afford to keep you and your crew running, look for opportunities to recruit crew, temporarily or permanently, to help you on the contract. Consider which crew to take carefully. They have different skills and stress resistances, and who you choose can affect the story. Once you're ready, select the contract from the map, and then your crew to proceed. So, let's look into... You can just buy the feed lines, but then we can deliver him the data core there. Swift soul scrap. Data diffusal shift. So these are the jobs we can do. These are the jobs we can do to make money. Sure. Oh, here's the contract board. Conway signal. Station management have located a Conway signal. They're concerned to see one so close and are looking for someone to disable its source. So we can buy the contract to go disable it, but it's a risky job. We need to find a crew member there here at the docks. Because we haven't finished Hexport connections yet. Okay. Let's just hope. The warehouses. Oh, I don't have endure at all. All right, well. So we can change the fuel lines. We can rest and recover, help reduce stress when not on a contract. Or we can make a meal with supplies. All right, I'm gonna end the cycle early. Get rid of those lower score dice. Hope. Oh, what a better selection of dice. I think if we get a 3, we get a 4, we get a 5. Let's roll on the 4. Let's try to skate it. Okay. Okay. As you're gliding across the docking concourse, you hear a scuffle. The noise of raised voices cuts through the conversation drifting out of the dockside shops. Glancing down an alley, you see a huddle of figures shouting back and forth. You spot one man in the middle of the group, surrounded, pushing the others back as they grab at the bag slung over his shoulder. You don't like the way this looks, but then again, Seraphin told you to keep your head down. I don't want to endure. I'm bad at that. I can also not do anything, and I think for the purposes of the demo, we'll stick our nose into it. I think if this was my full run, I would probably role play it a little more and not draw attention. Positive outcome, great. You look around for something that could break up the fight, and you see the thick cooling pipes running down the alley wall. You quickly try to understand the system and choose a valve to start spinning. As you do, the system begins to vent a sequence down the alley, violent jets approaching the group. There's a scramble in the alley, and you spot a figure who's being attacked drop down to the alley floor. Then the scene is blanketed in pale coolant, and everything goes still. The clouds settle and condense on the pipes, and as they do, you see a mostly clear alley, the assailants having fled, with one figure gliding towards you. I suppose you think that was clever. Femi gives you a severe look. You're either very smart, he shakes his head, or very lucky that those jets missed me. Which is it? I was helping. Femi laughs. Well, shakes his head. Thanks, I guess. He kicks off and drifts past you. You watch Femi go, and then after a moment, he stops and turns back. God, I love the character art in this game. Every character just has so much life, so much detail, so much character. Just immediately. He rubs his forehead, looking down as he does. What's your deal, anyway? He sighs. Maybe you're new here, but Hexport's no place for do-gooders. I know what it's like. To get beat up? Femi shakes his head. Hexport's got real rough. Look, let's not hang around, all right? Femi unshoulders one of the bags and pushes it towards you. Make yourself useful. Let's head. Get the strap of the bag over your shoulder and follow Femi through the docks, gliding past the concourse towards the connecting bridges. Femi cuts down a side passage, looking back to check you're following. Then he stops at a docking bridge connecting to a dull green ship with yellow markings. You look out the viewing window at its odd catamaran-like shape, seemingly built from two separate hulls welded together. Symbol crash, says Femi, and you assume that's the ship's name. Femi, you bringing in strays? A young woman, brightly dressed, stretches as she glides, drifts into the passage. She glances at you. No offense. Naya, Femi shakes his head. This one, he squeezes your shoulder. Help me fend off some Hexport scum while you were busy sunning yourself. Naya raises an eyebrow. I'm sure you could handle them, big brother. Her glib response hides the flash of concern that passes across her face. You can't tell if Femi noticed. Naya turns to you. Thanks. She smiles sweetly. And I'm sorry for my brother. She shoots him a glance. Just in general. Naya, Femi murmurs. Enough now. He reaches over and takes the bag you were carrying. Naya rolls her eyes at you, but stays silent. Factory Row wouldn't take these. Femi hefts the bags. I'm gonna load them back up. Maybe we'll find a use for him. He turns back to you. Thanks for the assist, Sleeper. He nods firmly. Not what I expected. He slaps the button for the bridge door and kicks off along the docking bridge on his way to the symbol crash. Naya looks at you with a raised eyebrow. I hope my brother was joking? Or did you really help him? It was nothing. Humble and a hero, she laughs. Thank you. She looks back at the ship. My brother needs help more than he admits. What do you mean? She tenses. I don't know if... She smiles a tight smile. I shouldn't have said anything. She pauses, thinking. I want to ask you something. She takes a deep breath, then gives you a direct look. What is she building up to? Are you looking for crew? She looks away. Sorry to be direct, but you seem like, well, if you're on Hexport, maybe you're with a crew. She stops herself. I mean, maybe your crew needs crew. Maybe you're looking. I am. She struggles to hide her smile. Naya looks back at the ship, then at you. Look, I'll be honest. Being on a crew with my brother is nice, but he is suffocating me. She frowns at her own bluntness. I'm not a kid anymore, you know, but he still sees me like one. She shrugs. I want to show him I can handle myself. I need experience. I need to run some contracts. She gives you a determined look. What do you say? I'll think about it. I'm a good salvager, all right? You can use me. She smiles. I can spot things, find gaps, ways in. She folds her arms across her chest. I know what I'm doing. Femi taught me well. She glances back at the ship. Just consider it, all right? Let me prove myself. Suddenly, a shout comes from the ship, echoing down the passage. Femi. He seems to make both of you nervous. Naya looks in his direction. I should go. She pushes off towards the docking bridge. I'll be waiting. Naya gives you one last glance as she departs, then disappears into the docking bridge, leaving you alone in the passage. New local crew available, minor drive complete. +1 upgrade point. I don't think, yeah, I've got 1 point. That's not anything to do anything with. But we could do this minor for another one. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do this minor contract. We've got 2 fuel. Let's get some more fuel. We need 2 to get out there. Let's get 2 back. And we have 2 supplies. Let's get another supplies. All right. Map. Job. Confirm vector. So Seraphine is locked. Junie is not available, probably because we can only, I wonder if we can only use her on the Karsten job. But we'll take Naya with us and we'll go check this out. Oh, it does resupply, or re-roll your dice. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's a drone. Seraphine spots the signal source first, the light barely shimmering off its dark hull plating, a design trait that portrays its covert use. A flash catches your attention, and you see a rent in the hull through which red lights pulse. Wounded. Seraphine shakes his head. I wish they'd finish the job. You've seen one before? Seraphine looks back over his shoulder towards you. We've seen one before. Don't you? He sighs. I'm sorry. I know this isn't your fault. He looks over at the drone. Lane had us work on one in a dark side bay, though it was barely a shell, disarmed and deactivated. He had us searching through its guts for salvage. Even that one gave me the creeps, and it had its core ripped out. He pushes the ship closer. This one is still live. Conway. Nia kisses her teeth. Corporate scum. I think that's meant to be hisses her teeth, like Conway. You glance over to her and you see the fire in her bright eyes. They don't even dare to come here and force us out themselves. It's all proxies and drones. She shakes her head. Typical core-bred cowards. Run into them before? She glances at you. You might say that. She looks at the drone. You won't see me taking my eyes off that thing for a second. Seraphine carefully glides the ship closer. You watch the drone. The system is full of these things now, ready missions for their operators. Rare to see one out in the belt, though. Maybe got hit during a hit and run with Senestat merchants. It looks like it's drifting. Most of the system's blown out, but look there. He jabs a finger towards a red light on the far side of the drone. It's still broadcasting, maybe even receiving. How do we shut it off? Seraphine brings you ever closer. What I remember from the dark side job is that the central core and the broadcast array needed to be shut off to kill those things. Core will turn off local systems, and the broadcast array will sever the link with the Conway operators, Seraphin swallows. But you can bet those systems are protected. Let Seraphin explain. Your attention is suddenly drawn by a shudder from the drone, like a tremor running along its lengths. This thing is rigged to blow, Sleeper. He frowns. We go slow and careful, and we don't touch anything we don't know about. Turns back to Naya. You hear that? I got you. She looks sincere. Seraphin brings the rig to a stop, close enough for you to cross through open space to reach the hull of the drone. Let's suit up. You head down to the airlock to prepare. As you get suited up, you think of the corporate war taking place in the inner system, the war that this drone is driven from. Out here, on the shore of the conflict, the biggest danger is this flotsam and jetsam drifting in with the tides, and the orbits of the system might, one cycle, bring the war with it. For now, the belt's outside of its reach, but looking at the red pulsing drone, that doesn't give you much comfort. All right. This is your first contract. While on a contract, you'll be able to assign 2 dice for each crew member as you would your own dice. Pay attention to the crew's skills and use them effectively. On certain outcomes, crew will take crew stress. When their stress is full, you'll no longer be able to use them to perform actions. While on a contract, your energy bar will automatically be supplied for each cycle that you have available supplies. When your supplies are depleted, both you and your crew will take 1 stress per cycle. Contracts also have their own contract stress. When the bar is filled, the contract will fail. Good luck. I always feel weird when a game tells me good luck. You know? It's like, good luck. It's like, all right, calm down. So, drone stress, rigged to blow. We've got 4 dots. We still have our little clock there. That's fun. Access hatch hull damage. Let's look at what we're looking at here. So, we can. I like how they show the different crew members' skills here. So, Seraphin could create an opening with Endure because both Naya and I are bad at it. But Naya also has plus on Identify Route. It could be possible to slip through the gap in the drone's damaged hull, but once inside, where to go, how to find the broadcast array. That's also dangerous. So but she has a 5. So even though it's dangerous, we get that 100% positive. Let's take that. That's great. Guaranteed 2 success on broadcast access. Because it might take, okay, well, none of us are doing this one. Release the hatch. Nobody's an engineer. No one's here for this. I can reprogram the hatch with a couple of these big dice, but I think a good idea here would be to take Seraphin's 2 6s. I think this is where we're going to end up going, because I can spend dice, Naya can spend dice here. Seraphin can spend dice over here. Okay, +2. That's good. Okay. Smashed it. Yeah. What's our 3 look like? Okay, let's spend the 5s. The 5s give us a 50-50. Ooh, you gain some stress. As your stress increases, you'll have a higher chance of taking damage to your action dice each time you roll them. Yeah, that's... Okay. Let's push. Love that. Okay. That's pretty good. I think in the interest of not doing a big thing, does this heal stress? You cannot recover stress while on a contract. That makes sense. That's very reasonable. That's very reasonable. Okay. I think in the interest of, oh man, you know, we spent all our dice, but we had very good success. We take that, you know? There we go. 2 broadcast access. You hear the beeping immediately. Among the chambers and cabling of the drone's interior, something started counting down. Guys, Naya's voice comes hissing through the suit's comm channel. Does anyone else hear that? Because I'm getting nervous. Shit. Seraphin's voice joins her. This is what I was worried about. Are we screwed? I can't be sure. Seraphin's dropped his voice to a whisper as if it might make a difference. Either this thing is about to send out a distress call, or it's about to blow. We've got to shut this system down fast, he pauses. Then we move on to the other side, because I bet you there's a surprise waiting for us there too. We good? Naya sounds tense. Am I heading back to the ship or what? Seraphine cuts in. We're good. We keep going. He shuts off the channel. You take a moment in the silence. All right. Time to deal with this fast, then get over to the other side before something happens. So I'm realizing now, I spent 15 for 1 supplies. Supplies are very important when you're on a contract. I should have spent the extra money to have full supplies. This is what I should have done. All right. So we have a drone countermeasure cycle clock. So we want to get this done quickly, which is good because I have a pretty good interface. Array disabled. Disabling the array will halt its connection to Conway and keep them from coming to collect. The 4. Yeah, the 4 is going to give us a 50-50. That's 1. Let's push. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. Array disabled. So that's 1. So now we have the kind of harder side. I maybe should have spent Naya's dice. Okay, so this is telling us about push. Pushing requires 1 stress, but gives you a key advantage based on your class. You can see your current push configuration if you hold your mouse over the button. Your push can be upgraded and configured in the character screen when not on contract. Okay, let's spend that for our 100% positive. Okay. And, I mean, is it even worth doing the 2? I don't think so. No. But now we've learned from the demo how important supplies are. Supplies are, we've taken some damage to dice because of stress. When dice are rolled at the start of the cycle, your stress dictates if you take damage or not. We do, I see the little pips. Each dice has 3 health. When this is depleted, the dice will break and must be repaired. That's a new terror to keep in mind. Oh man, and I'm gonna have to take stress just to continue to work. Oh no. I'm gonna have to take stress just to continue to work this. Ooh, okay. You've used all your dice for this cycle. You need to end the cycle. Yeah, oh man. Oh. All right, well. Yeah, our supplies are empty, which means next cycle, yep, we will be taking stress. I got some good rolls though. Let's use our higher dice. We gotta use them. We gotta use them. If I get these 6s, I'll unlock the next thing. So now we have control access. And I just have to hope, okay, thank God. I was like, I just have to hope that one of them, and she has a 6 and that's gonna do it. Whew, buddy. The thrumming, pulsing interior of the drone goes still for the first time since you boarded it. You look across at Seraphine and Nia and share a smile. Did I say Naya? I don't know if it's Naya? Nia? Naya. I think it's Naya. You all exhale so loudly it can be heard over the suit's shared comm channel. The drone is dead. One less piece of Conway shit to worry about. Naya grins. We killed it. Don't get too excited, Seraphine cuts in. It was looking pretty rough when we got here. You make your way back out to the hull, the drone now faintly rolling in one direction, its stabilizers offline. Naya catches up with you as it glides towards the rig. We make a pretty good crew, Sleeper. What do your brother think? Naya tuts. Don't go ruin it by bringing him into this, she grins. Maybe he'll never find out. Actually, Naya, I'm sorry to say we don't make a good crew because our skills are exactly the same. And I am sorry to say. One of those times when it's like, boy, it's fun being a wizard, but you don't need two wizards. You reach the rig's airlock and take one last look at the dark hull of the drone. It catches the light as it rolls in the vacuum. At some point in the near future, this drone will likely be smashed to pieces by one of the many asteroids of the belt. Spread across this place is twinkling dust. The thought pleases you. As does the thought of all that cryo Hexport now owes you. Time to go collect. Contract complete. You can leave via the map. -5 stress during travel. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's all of my stress, and I get a whole new set of dice. I guess it makes sense. It's a new day. That's a great set of dice if we need to get some stuff done. We need to repair this one, though. After docking at Hexport, Seraphin lets go of the controls and leans back in his chair. Naya leans over to you. Thank you, Sleeper. She stretches. I know you took a chance on me. Thanks for helping. Naya smiles an infectious smile. Feels good to make a contract work, Seraphin smiles, no matter how we pull it off. It's hard not to argue, and it feels better when the Hexport courier comes with a lockbox full of chits. Lane may still be hunting you, but this will help the effort to slip his net. Suddenly you hear a familiar voice. Naya! Femi glides into view, approaching from the docks. He fixes you with a stare. What are you playing at, Sleeper? Naya wanted to come. You go to speak, but Naya drifts forward, cutting you off. Don't come throwing your weight around, Femi. I can make my own decisions. She glances back at you. Sleeper took me at my word, and I'm grateful. Femi is fuming. Did they now? He turns to you. Well, if you're working for Sleeper, I hope they paid you well. Naya looks away. Well, I asked, so... Femi smiles. Oh, so they aren't paying you? Seraphin crosses his arms. Let's keep this civil. You realize this is the first time he's meeting Femi. If we're being civil, seems like Naya's owed her share. Femi fixes you with a severe look. Yeah, listen, I was gonna pay her. That was never she came on the job. She gets paid as part of the job. Like, that's how it goes. You grab a third of the chits from the lockbox and hold them out to Naya. She takes them sheepishly. All right then, Femi smiles. We're good here. He turns to leave. Naya mouths a sorry and follows Femi across the docks. Seraphin watches them go. You sure know how to pick 'em, Sleeper. Shakes his head. He turns away and hops back along the docking bridge. I just hope we aren't going to end up 70 cryo short when we need to get out of here. Well, we completed a drive and earned an upgrade point. I have push upgrades available, so this is why I wanted to do this. So now, on a push, I can reroll 2 lowest dice, which just makes that all the more worth it. All the more worth it. And some of the, look, that's great. That's great. Reroll dice can't be a 1. That's fantastic. -2 stress if you reroll a 6. That's just funsies. That's just a bonus. All right, I think the only thing to do now is to get the feed lines, but that's where we're gonna leave the demo for Citizen Sleeper 2. If you're excited to see more of this, if you liked what you saw, please, I highly recommend you go check out the demo. If it's still available when you're watching this, go wishlist it. The link to the Steam page will be in the description. Thank you again so much to Double Jump for the ability to check this out early. I cannot wait to check out the full version of this game. I have such a good time. This system is so incredible. So yeah, if you want to check out any more of me playing demos, the link to that original playlist will be in the description. Again, this is season 2 of all kinds of pre-recorded demos. If this is your first one, hi, how you doing? Check out more of them. Links to all kinds of stuff will be in the description, including links to all the socials. I stream on Twitch 5 days a week. You can come check me out over there, twitch.tv/mattcaulder. I'd love to have you play all kinds of different stuff, including stuff chosen by the community, which is always a really fun and interesting time. We will probably be playing Citizen Sleeper 2 once it comes out, so you can look forward to that. But until next time, be well and do good.